Hey all you addicts out there, welcome back to another addictive fishing tutorial. I'm Jordan Carnegie, and today we're going to have a little conversation piece, and I'm going to give you guys 5 tips, tricks, and techniques to make you a more successful trout fisherman in small creeks, streams, and rivers all over the US and all over the world. So I'm going to go over 5 different things that I think is the most important factors in being a good fisherman on these small tributaries or these small creeks and rivers that are going to allow you to catch more and more of these wild trout. So stay tuned. I got a lot of information for you guys. You guys are going to love today. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and I think is really key in any kind of fishing, is having the right setup. Going to the river with the wrong length, weight, or any kind of line, the wrong rod setup is going to really kind of hinder you in getting better at catching fish at any kind of fishing. So what I recommend first and foremost, rule number 1 for being a more successful trout fisherman is having the right rod setup. It doesn't really matter what kind of rod that you buy or what style of rod that you buy, but as long as it's a nice light, ultralight setup for fishing these small rivers and streams. What the ultralight setup opens up as far as doors for you guys to catch fish in small creeks and streams is that it allows you to fish the right kind of presentations and allows you to identify the right kind of water and successfully fish it with the right rod setup. If you're using too heavy a rod, if you're using too light a rod, you're going to be very frustrated because you're not going to successfully and effectively fish all the kind of water that we show you in these kind of trout tutorials that we do. So the nice what I have here is Okuma Salilo. You can really fish whatever you want as long as it's that small setup that has that light action and has that soft tip that allows you to cast these light lines and light setups. Again, I have a 10-pound braided line on here, which is crucial to me because it allows me to cast a lot better and it allows me to successfully and effectively hit the spots in the river or stream that I need to and be able to fish effectively where those fish are at. If you have too big of setup with too heavy a line, you're not going to be able to cast these small lures or small baits into these areas where these trout are. So I would say the rule number 1 in being a successful fisherman is having the right setup. Keeping in mind that you're going to be fishing all kinds of different waters. So a 2 to 6 pound rod, not much more than a 10-pound rod is what I would recommend, but it's crucial in being successful in this kind of fishing. Tip number 2 for you guys is going to be being very versatile in how you fish. Being a one-trick pony in any kind of fishing can really kind of leave you behind in the dust behind a lot of good fishermen that you'll see throughout your life. And what I mean by that is using different methods, whether it be from bait to artificial to fly, and not leaving anything out of the question when you go to fish is really going to help you become a better fisherman, because every time you go out, you're going to learn something a little bit different. Every single day you go fish on these creeks and rivers, for trout especially, there's going to be some kind of natural effect of how the fish are going to bite. Whether they want something natural, whether they want something aggressive, whether they want something with scent, or whether they want something like they see every day, like a nymph or a fly. So having all those things in your bag, and all those things in your bag of tricks, really, being from bait to lures to flies to artificial bait to anything in that realm, is going to really kind of help you get out of your bubble and make you a better fisherman in every kind of water that you find. Tip number 3 I'm going to say is try to be very creative with how you fish holes while you're fishing for these trout. Don't get really orthodox and start at the top of the hole and fish to the bottom and do all the normal techniques that you would normally do throughout fishing. You'll see in a lot of our other tutorials, which I'll bring up now. Go to our page, Addicted Fishing, you guys, if you've never seen it before, and check out all these other trout tutorials that we make every single day. And a lot of them kind of relapse on what I'm talking about right now and show you how to use these different techniques and these different methods to be a better fisherman. So be creative in how you fish holes. Whether you're in a deep pool or whether you're in fast, riffly water, I need you want to really go out and fish everything and from every angle that you can. These fish are very sight oriented. They're going to be looking for something, anything out of the ordinary, or they'll want it very natural. It kind of goes back to being creative. Be creative in how you fish holes. Don't just be very orthodox and start at the top and end at the bottom. Start at the bottom, cast at the top, and bring your spinner all the way through the hole. Or start at the top, casting to the bottom of the hole and slowly swinging your spinner across. Again, which you'll see in a lot of our other tutorials that we show you guys. So being creative in how you effectively fish holes is going to really up the ante on how many fish you catch as you go out and try to learn and try to kind of gather the best idea of how to fish these small creeks and rivers. The fourth tip I'm going to give you is probably what I'd say is the most important other than rod selection, and really it's to be stealthy with these fish. When you're fishing these small areas and these small creeks and streams, 90% of the time the water is going to be very clear, and these fish, again, if you look at a trout when you catch it, the biggest thing on its body is its eyeballs. They survive off of their eyesight because they are outrunning predators, and all of us fishermen are predators to these fish, as well as some kind of bird or hawk or osprey. So being stealthy in how you fish these holes and being methodical in how you approach different holes is going to really probably make you more of a successful fisherman than any. Not walking straight up to the edge of the hole and casting, maybe staying back 10-15 feet and snagging up on your first cast, but allowing yourself to fish that prime spot in the hole without you standing above it is going to really up the ante on how many fish that you catch throughout the day and throughout your season while you're trout fishing. So being stealthy, wearing dull clothes, not going out there with a big yellow fluorescent flower shirt or some kind of construction shirt is going to really scare those fish away. There's not many things in nature that look like a big construction shirt, of course. So wearing something that's more of a dull neutral color, whether it be brown, green, black, and not standing at the top of the hole and or fishing holes from different angles like I explained in the last tip is going to make you a better and more successful fisherman. That being because you're using your stealthiness and your methodical nature to go and key in on where these fish are living without them seeing you as some kind of predator moving towards them. So take that one with you to the bank. That's probably the most important tip of all these, is being stealthy and being very methodical when you're being creative fishing these holes. So tip number 5 that I'm going to give you guys, fifth and final, is movement. And what I mean by movement is keep moving downriver. A lot of these trout are very aggressive within the first couple casts of you fishing, like you've seen in some of these tutorials, especially like the spinner ones, which is why a spinner or some kind of artificial spinner or anything like that is one of my favorite techniques to use, because it gets in there, it gets the job done, and then you can move on. So being very versatile and moving a lot as you fish these creeks, covering a lot of ground on these creeks and streams, is really going to up the amount of fish that you catch throughout the day, just because you're covering more water. Starting at the top of a hole or the bottom of a hole, fishing 5 or 6 casts, changing your presentation, getting those effective casts through the hole, and then moving is always going to make you more successful because you're covering more water. A lot of times these creeks and streams are very long. There's a lot of habitat for these trout to be in. So going from spot to spot and not making the same cast over and over and over again is going to hinder you in catching fish, because you want to get in there, get the job done with whatever your confidence level is on whatever presentation that you have, and then moving on to new water and continually covering that new water down through the creek and stream. So movement is tip number 5, and I would say, again, a lot of these are some of the most important tips. That's why I'm giving them to you guys. But movement is probably, in my mind, is what's going to allow you to catch more fish throughout the day, is moving around and changing out your presentations while fishing for these trout, because again, they're feeding. All they want to do is eat. So as long as you get it in front of them and they eat, if you miss them, if you hook a fish and lose it, odds are you should just keep moving to the next hole and find another spot and learn something new and where those fish will live. So that's my 5 best tips that I have for you guys today. I hope they help you become a more successful trout fisherman for wild trout and creeks and streams. I know they have helped me be a lot better throughout my career in fishing these little fish in these beautiful places. So thank you so much for tuning in today, you guys. Go ahead and comment below. I ask for this in almost every tutorial. Comment below with what your 5 tips are for any fisherman out there on being a more successful fisherman in creeks and streams. We want to hear it from you guys, not just from me. So thank you so much for tuning in today, you guys. If you like what you saw today, be sure to hit that like button. Go down here and comment below with, again, what you think you need to do to be a successful fisherman. But do not forget to subscribe and turn on this little bell notification over here. That's going to allow you guys to see more of these tutorials coming out every single day. And they're all just for you guys to learn how to be better fishermen and come out here and enjoy this beautiful bounty we have in the Northwest or all across the country and world. So thank you so much for tuning in today, you guys. We appreciate all the support. Stay fishy, and we'll see you on the river.